I'm going to just start by telling you all a little bit about what the social action projects are from our Friends Forever side. I won't be doing that for too long. I know what we're really here for is to hear from the folks that completed them, but just to give us a little bit of background. So Friends Forever International's mission is to help youth become the best versions of themselves so that they can help their community become the best version of itself. And going through these projects are really where we get to take that mission and make it actionable. And these two and the rest of the folks that have made it to this point are really a testament to that, in making that small scale community change with the resources that they have at their disposal right now. So the FFI immersion program, these programs are usually between 10 and 16 days in person, but before their in-person component, they go through a team building phase where they develop their team identity, they bond as a team, and they come up with the goals and the foundation for success during the in-person component of their program. And then after that in-person part, they go through what you're just seeing the final component of right now, which is their community building phase, where they develop, plan, and implement a community-based project addressing a need that they recognize in the community that they're in. And just to give you a little overview, this has been, this time, it's our first time doing it quite in this way. As anyone who's been with Friends Forever for a while knows, we're constantly changing the mold of what we do and doing things that are making improvements that are more efficient and work for the groups we're working with. So the community building phase is about 12 weeks with some breaks in between for some in-person meetings and some areas of feedback. But for the most part, these folks have been walking themselves through that curriculum and communicating with us along the way. And when it comes to, like I had mentioned, of understanding a community need that they're going to address, we've started by comparing and contrasting the way we see that community issue with other folks, understanding who in our community is already addressing that issue, why that issue matters, and more specifically, why it matters to us. What is our why? And how does the perspective that we have impact the way that we view this issue? And then taking all of that information, everyone looks at, okay, what impact can I make with all of that information in mind? They first developed a brainstorm where they turned their project idea and develops a list of stakeholders and folks in their community that could help, some of the outcomes for their project and what success really looks like. They developed all of the objectives. We use the OCRA's method here of objectives, key results, and action steps. And they developed a budget and put those in order of what's going to be most essential for their project to be able to happen. And then from all of those objectives, key results, action steps, we've turned those action steps into a timeline and an actionable plan that they can follow through. And as you can see, that in itself and getting that to its most finalized state and submitting a project proposal is a lot of work. And along the way, they've had different advisory reviews where they've met with staff, alumni, and got some feedback on their projects and learned about ways that they can further develop them. So there's been that sort of communicative Friends Forever piece throughout, but they've really done an enormous amount of work to reach the point that you're seeing today.
So my name is Ellen Taylor. As Alex was saying, I'm also part of Team Solace with Evine, and you saw my bright blonde hair from whenever I had it dyed in the summer. That picture is a bit of a jump scare for me, but in Evine's presentation too. But now it's back to my normal hair, so I'm fine. But yeah, just a little bit about me. I'm from County Down, Northern Ireland. I live in the middle of nowhere. I am basically surrounded by fields, and I'm involved in activism as president of the Secondary Students' Union of Northern Ireland, and also acting, music, and theatre. And at A level, which is the qualifications you take whenever you're 17, 18, I study Spanish, which is why I have the Spanish flag, because I love Spanish. It's my favorite language, history, and politics. So the issue that I encountered, I mean, in the research that we did as part of the skill building and as part of the preparation for this, I encountered loads of different issues, but the one that really stood out to me was the lack of community integration in my area between newcomers, refugees, and the local population. Because I live in a very rural area with not much ethnic diversity. However, in recent years, a significant number of refugees and newcomers have moved to the area, and as the screen says, white people comprise over 98% of the population of Northern Ireland, and that becomes an even larger figure whenever you move into rural areas, as a lot of the ethnic minorities communities tend to be congregated in Belfast, which is the largest city in Northern Ireland. But where I'm from, Downpatrick, we have quite a small community of refugees and newcomers, so I think it's easy for them to feel left out and not included in kind of the local community. And there hasn't been any kind of integration led by the council or any kind of decision-making bodies. I mean, Northern Ireland hasn't had a government for the last 2 years. We're getting a government though on Saturday, so hopefully that'll change. So there's been no kind of support for all these newcomers who are arriving, and they're faced with kind of limited options. Even in Belfast, the support is pretty limited, but once you move outside of Belfast, it becomes even harder to access any support, and that has led to hate crime incidents such as racist graffiti. And the two pictures on the screen are actually pictures I took this time last year, and that was written on, so the picture in the left was written on like a wall that like everyone walks by in Downpatrick. It's like these specific St. Patrick steps, and if you live in Downpatrick, you will walk by those steps like basically every day, and that was like scrawled there. And then the other picture on the right was on a family's house, so quite a young family with children who attend the primary school I went to, and they were targeted and some really horrible language was written on their house. So yeah, it's pretty horrible. So why is this important to me? It's important to me because I see the impact of lack of community integration in my day-to-day life. So for example, in schools, Northern Ireland has a grammar school system, and that means you have to do a test to get in, and that involves a test in English. So if you're moving from another country and your first language isn't English, it's likely you won't attend a grammar school. And that means children that go to grammar schools don't end up actually mixing with anybody from a refugee or newcomer background pretty often. And it really saddened me that a family with young children who go to school with my younger sister have been targeted in this way, and they were all pretty upset, obviously, by the whole ordeal. And I want to prevent similar incidents from happening again. So what will the event actually involve? So I plan to do a breakfast morning in school because my school are happy to support me with this project. And so I want to invite local people from Downpatrick. So for example, members of my school community and refugees and newcomers who will come together over tea, coffee and breakfast pastries because I'm on a budget in my school Downhigh. And it will be on a Saturday morning, the 23rd of March. So what do I want to do to solve this? Now I'm looking back at this and I'm realizing this seems kind of like a duplication of the last slide, but I'll build on it a little bit. I would like to organise newcomer integration events for everyone in the local community to attend. So not just a specific subsection of people or just politicians. I want everybody to feel welcome and that they can come along, get to meet people, get to know each other and break down barriers. And I will be supported by volunteers from my school. Luckily, there's lots of people who are interested in helping out, and I intend to hold the events bi-monthly. So the timeline is February, so from today, I plan to advertise and organize my event. So that would involve reaching out to politicians because I want them to be there and listen to local people's stories and have that and to use whenever they make decisions about what they're going to do in Downpatrick and that sort of thing and help inform their decision making. I want to invite obviously refugees and newcomers from the area, and I'll be reaching out to, for example, the council and other places where there's contacts with those communities because they can sometimes be hard to reach, but I think I have the correct contacts to reach out to them, and then advertise because that'll probably be most important to get people to attend is to advertise it as a breakfast morning. And I think somebody mentioned whenever I did my practice, somebody said include food because that's what gets people to attend. So I added a breakfast. And then the 23rd of March, I want to host the first event in my school. And in April, I plan to do project report and review, including a post-event survey, so I can find out, was the event impactful? Did people leave having felt that they made connections, that they've made a new friend, that sort of thing. So yeah. So luckily my project is largely inexpensive to run. In the budget I completed, my main concern was paying for a venue, but that has been solved as my school is happy to host it for free. And it'll be staffed by volunteers, mainly from my school. My fundraiser will be to raise money for food and drinks for the attendees, as well as printing posters. And you can support me by following the link that is now in the chat too. But yeah, and any leftover money, I'm assuming food and drinks would be quite expensive. So if there's any money left over from that, I'd probably donate it to a refugee charity. Yet to be decided. Thank you for listening, and I'm happy to take any questions.